Fabulous. I got it. How about you? Okay, our speaker today, as you know, is Diana Rich, who is Sebastopol City Councilwoman and so much more, and walked here from her house. She's so environmental that she gave her son her car for the day and forgot she did it. That's what she told me. Ladies and gentlemen, you're eating. The food is good. Sebastopol Sunshine Cafe has come to Sunrise for the first time. Say hello to everyone. We're so happy to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. I hear the food is delicious. I'm going to have mine later. But I'm so glad you're here. How did it work out so far? People being hospitable? Yeah. Well, we've got another mic if we can pop that up where we need it. Wherever the person is, you can bring it over to, yeah. So, the people, anyway, here you are. Hello, welcome. Okay, recognition and gratitude. You have a moment, you know what to do. Diana Curtis is in the Zoom audience, and Diana Curtis, I don't know if anybody said happy birthday to you yet today, have they?
Actually, you're the first to say it. I received a text from a dear friend. She wishing me happy birthday this morning. So you're the first to say happy birthday. Thank you very much.
Well, we're going to do more than that, right?
Yeah.
How about we sing?
Well, I have another dear friend here staying with me while she's moving in to Oakmont. So she's asleep right now. She's a late sleeper. I'm an early riser, but we're still friends for, must be close to 50 years. And I'm so glad she's moved here. So I've been rather busy helping her getting settled into her new home. And it is a happy day.
Let's wake her up.
I'll go shake her bed.
Do you want us to sing to you?
Yes.
Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diana. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, all of you.
Happy birthday, Diana. Hope it's a great one. And we have a Rotary anniversary participant, Nick Randall. Look at the date. Guy's like, what, 6 years old now?
So David asked me to say something about what is important to me, and what has been important to me, being a part of Rotary. And I would say it's the simple things that really make a difference. The opportunity to work together, doing good things, good deeds, with a group of people that is like-minded and generally smiling and having fun and generous in their time, with their time and treasure. That's the most important thing to me, to be a part of a group, shoveling chips over at the park, or packing food at the food bank, or pulling weeds out in the parkway. These are the things that really are meaningful to me. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you. So glad to remember with us. Shining Penny, Judy Rice, are you ready to share?
There you go. Can you hear me? Okay. I thought about it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
because I keep getting a sign that says you have to unmute yourself.
Well, don't unmute yourself.
All right, let's try this. I thought about several things and I came up with one which was turned out to be extraordinarily important in my life. Goes back to about 1972. I was living with my then ex-husband in a very small town in Crownsville, Maryland. We had a dog, decided the dog needed a companion, went down to the local animal shelter. It was a big room with some cages along the side. I found a dog that I thought would work, had just started to fill out the paperwork when I saw one of the kennel workers walking past with a cardboard box, and my eye caught a glimpse of what was inside. And for one of the very few times in my life, my heart actually went flip-flop. There were two tiny, tiny, tiny little pups in there. I found out that they were on their way to be destroyed because they had been found in an extremely abusive situation. The two pups had been kicked and beaten before their eyes were open. And the reason they were going to be destroyed is because they were all paws. They were obviously going to be huge dogs. And the shelter was convinced that they were going to be vicious and not safe for adoption because of what they had been through. I will spare you all of what happened over the next hour, where I talked with, tried to persuade, got rude with, fought with, yelled at, screamed at, and eventually convinced the shelter guy that he would either let me adopt one of these dogs or I would never leave his office. My ultimate regret is that I did not take them both. The pup was 3.5 weeks old. I took her home. The only thing I can tell you is that for close to a month, I carried her close to me. She would tremble whenever a human being came near her, including me. I would put her down to do her thing, to eat. Other than that, she sat and she trembled. I worried that this would never change. One day, after about 6 weeks, I was holding her and she started to struggle. And I held her out a little bit. She reached over, she started kissing my face, and it was gone after that. She assumed I was either her mother or something that wasn't going to hurt her. She grew up to be a 210-pound dog. So they were right about that. The gentlest dog I have ever had in her entire almost 13-year life. She growled 3 times that I'm aware of. Each time she had good reason to believe that I might be in danger. So I guess the moral of my story is take a chance sometimes on things that people say there's no hope. End of story.
Thank you. That was lovely. A lovely story. Marnie, you're shining penny. Yeah. There you go.
And I think you might have a photo with me or no?
I do. I don't think that's okay.
So I have to go on with the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. I'm doing it wrong. I happen to belong, oh, now I hear myself, to the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. And they recently had a call for entries in their International Fiber Arts exhibit, which they do every 2 years. And it's international in scope, so we get entries from Korea, Amsterdam, Japan, all over the place. And I happen to have a wonderful friend who lives in Sebastopol. Her name is Francesca Ternauer, and she is currently 89 years old. And back in the 60s, Life magazine did a feature on arts and crafts and movers and shakers, and she was one of the 10 women selected as an up-and-coming female artist. What she was doing at the time was creating rugs, and this is one of those rugs, and it's 6 feet by 9 feet. It's latch hook. It resides in my home, where her son lives with me. And I just thought, you know what? Francesca needs some props. And so we helped submit it. There were 800 applicants from around the world. 17 were chosen, and one of them is Francesca's rug, and she didn't have a name for it. So I asked her, could I call it Mossy Forest Stream? And she said yes. So I have brought a ton of joy and renewed vigor to her. And when they had the opening on July 31, she came, she met people were talking to her, telling her how fabulous her work was and her work. And so I made someone really, really happy. And I'm glad.
Thank you. Lovely story, and look forward to seeing it. So, you have a moment that you want to share? This is a great time to do it. DJ.
Well, since we're family, I'll share. This past Saturday, I was up in Oroville, California, and we were doing a life service for my brother who passed on Memorial Day this year. So it was a very sweet affair attended by many aspects of his life. And he went well, but he went young. 63, young to me anyway. So, it was a wonderful service by my remaining brother and I, and friends and others spoke well. And fortunately, my brother was at a church where the pastor knew him very, very well, so could conduct the service with heart and efforts. And with that, I'm contributing to our community fund.
Thank you. Thank you, DJ. Sorry for the loss of your brother, and thank you for sharing it with us. I agree, we're family. Announcements. So, starting September 1st, our costs have gone up for catering, so proportionately the meeting fee is going up. Hope that works well with everybody. We're as thrifty as we can be. Kathy, are you trying to say something?
Might just say it's going up $2.
It's going up $1. And then second thing is there are vegetables and fruit on the back there and bags to carry it off with. What you don't take, I will take to the food pantry, but stop by, do some shopping. I grew it all and it's all good stuff. And let's help the Masons. You see the sign out front. There are flyers in the hallway, actually, rather than on the table. So they're going to be doing a spaghetti dinner. It is their first fundraising attempt since the beginning of the pandemic, and it would be lovely if people were able to support them. So it's either dine in, I believe, or take out. They'll have a silent auction. They'll have stuff going on. And the flyer and the sign out front give you all the information. So on your way out, get that phone, take it off airplane mode, take a picture, and you'll have all the information you need. You know about the district conference that's coming up October 8th and 9th. In order to get the information, you need to be in touch with the district. You can log on to the district website, look at the calendar. It'll give you the information that you need. And nominations are in. We don't know who it's going to be, but there's going to be a special lunch for ethical businesses, ones that were nominated by Rotarians and are in the nonprofit or small or medium business size. Next week's presenter, I'll just let you read. How does that look? Gotta be there for that, right? Okay, add these things to your calendar. Whoa. That says Friday. It's Monday. Monday, sunrise, hiking group, and international committee next week, right after the meeting. Redwood Empire Food Bank, sign up. We're a little slim there, and they are actually having to cancel some of their times that they have food packing events because they don't have sufficient volunteers to run it. So there's a real need there for people to get in, get their hands on that food, and get it out to people. First Friday, September 3rd, 5:30, Mexico Lindo. Be there or miss it, and always wish you Santa Rosa East West is having their Wild West virtual fundraiser. That's information that was sent out in an email. Go back, have a look at it, register. Let's support them. They support us. And Apple Blossom Parade is coming up September 8th, and the theme, as Diana shared with us, is superheroes. So get set to be a part of that. And this week's presenter, fresh from a long walk down, Diana Rich.
Okay, here's a welcome to our friend Diana Rich, who's a Rotarian in the new club, has been for many years. She's been a Sebastopol resident for over 20 years, but she was elected to the Sebastopol City Council last year. She has a bachelor's degree in two things, Spanish literature and economics. She also has a law degree from UC Davis. She sees herself as a collaborative problem solver, and she was elected on the promise of making Sebastopol safe and healthy and vital and vibrant and connected and inclusive. So she's sticking to these goals. She loves Sebastopol Rotary, and she loves being in a leadership position that allows her to improve the quality of life for all of us who call Sebastopol home. Away you go.
Well, I love Rotary. I've always loved Rotary. Can you guys hear me okay? It's kind of weird with the, okay. Yeah. For weeks now, I've had this horrible sore throat, and in the world of COVID, I thought, oh my gosh, I must have COVID. No, it's just that I always have to talk really, really loud to get through these masks. So it is wonderful to be here. It's great to see Rotarians. All in 3D, that's absolutely fabulous. My goal today is to kind of give you an update on what's going on in the city council, so recent events, and then also just to kind of communicate a message of positive hope. And I have to say, looking out at you here, coming out here, getting together, getting back into a normal routine, that's part of the hope that I think all of us have here in Sebastopol. Seeing all the events that you have coming up, the compassion, the heart, the sharing. I mean, really, Rotary is such a wonderfully inviting, safe place. So I thank you for continuing to do that. I think these little pieces build infrastructure, that infrastructure of community that we have kind of lost over the course of the last year or so, just coming back together and having those intimate moments. So what's going on with the city council? I have been living in Sebastopol now for over 20 years. I live over on First Street. And yes, yesterday my son asked if he could borrow the park because he has jury duty. What fun. And I said, yeah, no problem. And then this morning I went, uh-oh. It was a wonderfully brisk walk from First Street. And actually, I think it probably took me about as long as it would have to drive. I mean, that's the weird thing. If you're in this wonderfully little small town, you think about it, you have to go out, you start your car, you back it up, and then by the time you get there, it's the same amount of time. So, city council, challenges. There are a lot of challenges that are no surprise to anyone here in town. The primary challenge that we're facing right now is our budget. Big aha, isn't anyone? You know, Rotaries are facing this, everyone is. I took on this city council position back on December 1st. There have been so many meetings because so many issues have come up. It's not just twice a month, right? It's the special meetings to talk about the police audit, or talk about the budget, or talk about the 1.2 million, oops, that the county transferred away to some bank in, I think it was Georgia. Just constant issues that are important to the community. The budget, Sebastopol was fortunately incredibly well positioned to deal with the whole COVID caused budget issues better than many other jurisdictions. And that's, I'd love to take credit, but I can't. That's really due to the city council over the last about 5 years building up a really nice reserve. So in a city budget, we have restricted funds that have to be used. It's a common concept for you guys, but they have to be used for specific purposes. Then there's unrestricted funds. A number of years ago, Sebastopol started ramping up the unrestricted funds in order to do some forward planning. So as we went into this, do you need me to move? Oh, technology thing. So coming into this period, we actually had about 6 million in unrestricted reserves. Now, they weren't like big slush funds, right? We had allocated some for unfunded pension obligations. So there was about 2 million there. There was about 2 million that was allocated for vehicle replacement, nice to plan ahead. And about 2 million that was allocated toward infrastructure building. But they weren't restricted. Those are funds that we can get to if we need to. There was also about, at that point, 3 or 4 million. It was just, insurance. It's kind of like your safety net. 3 months of liquid funds. So that's what we had as we went to this period. So the good news is, we now have really moved through all of that, the 4 million that was just kind of safety net. When we went into this budget period, we actually, even with the projected wonderful plans we had, we still had in that column 1.25 million, plus the 2 million transfer for vehicle replacement, 2 million for infrastructure, and then about 3 or 4 million for unfunded pension. So we thought we were pretty good. I mean, not great, but we're using about 1 million a year dipping into the unrestricted in order to keep the community going and doing quality of life work. Then we hear that the county has, our finance department discovered that the county had transferred 1.2 million of money that was the city's money that the county was holding for the city. The county does this, collects property tax, holds the money for multiple jurisdictions. Jurisdictions ask for it when they need it. And it was a fraudulent transfer. So it's a cyber theft situation. So at that point, to me, that's a test, okay? We're going into the budget. We thought we had 1.25 million after our wish list. Now we've learned that we have 1.2 million. Yes, we do hope to get back. And let me tell you, we are aggressively pursuing it, but still. So, what do? This is a challenge. I mean, it's a huge challenge, and it's primarily because our wish list has incredible aspects that were, from each of our perspectives, essential to the future hope, the future coming back into the world of Sebastopol. So they were things like money set aside for a Cahoon-style program, a mental health response team. Money set aside for a community vitality person, like 68,000 to really dig in to how do we help Sebastopol, business, nonprofits, everyone move forward. A real consultant. There was money, 80,000 to pay for West County Community Services to provide, citywide services to the unhoused. These were all really important aspects. So what do? We decided to go ahead and fund those projects. Why? Because the city council has a lot of faith in this community and in the future, and in our ability to retain those funds. And, I mean, you gotta look at the money. We do have that extra unrestricted money. But yeah, we'd like to build up for vehicles, we'd like to build up for infrastructure, and we'd like to keep for the unfunded pension plan part, but it's there for us. So, to me, that captured, what do we do as a city council? What is this community about? Does the city council just kind of go, okay, we're gonna abandon this wonderful wish list, all of which is essential? Or do we grab that hope? Do we plan for the future and give the town what it needs and the city what it needs in order to do all those things? So, to me, all of that really, as a city council person, you face these moments, and for me, the takeaways were huge. Number one, that my fellow city council people have their hearts in the right place, that they do look at the numbers, that they do ponder, they do strategize, that we all do analyze the potential and the risks, but that when it comes down right down to it, the people are as important as the numbers. The people are the numbers in many ways. So confidence in the city council people, I thank you all. I mean, I'm there, I see them. We don't always agree on everything, but that honestly is a good thing. Differentness in decision making is one of the strengths, I think, of any group. So this is a good city council. It's hardworking, puts a lot of time in, dedicated, and so the experience for me has been a really positive one. So what have we done recently? You know, the budget, that was many meetings. The police audit was wonderful because Jerry Shreek did a deep dive. We were very proactive, came up with specific suggestions, which we're now acting on. New police chief, he's fabulous. I think he's spoken here, right? Yes. That man, genuine. I mean, it's just who he is. Very accessible on a lot of different issues. Those are all great things. We have staffing challenges because we have a very hardworking, wonderful staff. You know, I mean, in the city offices, you got Larry McLaughlin and Mary Gurley. They're fabulous people, but really, on the finance director, and that's our administrative team for an entire town. The budget, just if you want to think about numbers, our budget is about 9 to 10 million a year. Our revenue this year was more in the 8 to 9 million, so, there you go. We are Santa Rosa's budget, I think, is 140 million, just as a reference point. We really operate leanly. Strengths, the staff is great. Everyone knows how to take out that, there you go. Our public works guy. And the staff also, I have to say, has great respect for the Rotary clubs. Rotary clubs have been very instrumental in adding quality to our life here in Sebastopol. Coming up, issues that I foresee, I will tell you, and the other thing is, the community Lead Summit was really a fabulous event that brought people together. And I have to do a call out to Diana Curtis, David Mark Raymond, and Barbara, who participated in that effort, and are continuing, particularly now David and Diana Curtis are continuing to spearhead efforts to kind of engage the community. That's what I think, and I'm sure you feel this yourselves, is the main challenge as we go forward in this town. It's really interesting to me because I expected that after, when COVID opened up a little, that people would be desperate to be involved and engaged in volunteer activities, and yet, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of hesitancy, and I think all of us can understand that. But when you look at the Red Vampire Food Bank that was mentioned, and I hear it in my club too, my new club, it's hard to get people to come out and do volunteer activities now. And maybe it's just that we aren't it's kind of like the Simpsons episode. Did you guys see the Simpsons episode where all of the kids are all playing video games, and suddenly all of the video games die, and the kids come out of their house and they're like, oh, what is this out in the world? They're just, they're trying to re-engage, and it's just so strange. I have a feeling it's like we're on a boat that just, what can we expect? I mean, can you commit to doing this regular volunteer activity when things may change? So I think we just have to be patient with each other, and encouraging and understanding, which is, not something that's hard for Rotary. It's in your blood, so that's really good news. And I think the Rotary clubs and the other service clubs are going to be really instrumental as we move out through the COVID situation, which clearly is not over, let's face it. I want to compliment you on continuing to do the hybrid model that engages people as much as possible. It's nice to see that you have the option of people video conferencing. Yeah, I think that's very helpful. So the future, I think the future has a lot of hope for us, primarily because we all are committed to this community. And it's interesting, I really, in my lifetime, working with Rotary, working with the community center, growing up as a little kid, there's something about the will to make things better, that just, it lives in all of us, and we see it in so many different ways. And I think, honestly, it's so hard it's not like this concrete concept, but I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like, why do we get up in the morning? Why do you come here? Why do you keep doing the Red Wing Fire Food Bank? Why do you keep supporting other efforts? Because we're part of a community, and we have the will to live and to make that community better. And I think that makes Sebastopol representative of a lot of communities, but also very special. I have a close friend who's struggling with homelessness. Not unusual, a lot of people do. But this young man is a Sebastopol kid, and he was homeless at the age of 14. And he's now 30. And I see what he deals with. And I gotta say, he just lost his job, he's been in jail, he was a meth addict, all this stuff. And yet and he has no family support, and yet he does not give up. He has such hope and dreams, and feels like there's a bright future for him there. He's willing to work for it. And so when you bring that sort of energy individually to a group like this, I think you have a cumulative effect, an opportunity that you may not be feeling right in the moment, but that you're going to see and that the community needs from you, and from all of us. So that's kind of my city council update. I can answer any questions anyone might have. I'm going through I had a list of challenges. Well, COVID-19, what else is new? So please, questions, comments? Yes.
So we have a member, Wayne, and retired scientist, and he does a bunch of volunteer work at Laguna. We built a greenhouse there.
Yeah.
And we have we have all these free apple trees, and I forget there's another tree too. And we want to plant them along the trail, like that starts near Hotman. Mm-hmm. So that people like your friend who's 30, who's homeless, can have fruit to pick if they want to when it's blooming, because obviously we can't go on private property and pick fruit, right. But we don't know where to get permission to plant those trees.
Okay, so that's a great question, and that brings me to, it's really important, I think, for everyone in the community to understand some really easy ways to get in touch with the city council or anyone on city staff. The key, and those of you who already know about this will laugh and go, well, duh, is simply to email Mary Gurley at the city of Sebastopol. Linda's like, Mary is the assistant city manager, the city clerk, but she is that pivotal access point. So, and her email is mgurley, and I'll get it through to all of you. I'll get this information through to all of you through David. who can email you, but it's mgurley, Gourley, at cityofsebastopol.org. And by the way, that is the ending for any of the emails. So I'm drich at cityofsebastopol.org. If you send her an email and you want it to go to all the city council members, just put Dear City Council, and she will send it to all of them. You don't even have to say, Mary, would you please send this to, just Dear City Council. If you want it to go to a staff member, you can say, Public Works. If you just have an issue like the trees, just email Mary and say, Mary, I know someone who has apple trees that they would like to make available for planting. How do we get this done?
No, we'll plant them, we just want permission.
Location, whatever it is you need. You need permission and a location. That one she will probably forward on to Dante Del Prete.
Okay.
But anything, that's a general, if anyone has any, and the other piece is, do not restrain yourself about reaching out to the city council. So I do not assume that city council members know what's going on. I got an email from a guy on First Street, Ken Jacobs, who's actually on Jewel, he's in the Moon Club. And he said, hey Diana, what's with this 5,300 square foot house that's being built on First Street? And I was like, I stopped at 5,300 square feet. What is this, a McMansion? I know. So I'm sure these people are fine. But I didn't know about this building. So he emailed me, and then I was able to find out what was going on with it and share it with my neighbors. It's the shop, that lot between First and Jewel that's been fallow. Now has a big building going in. So what I told Ken is, if you go to the DRB, the Design Review Board meeting, if you have some concerns, and if you want to come to a city council meeting, and I will tell you this too, come to a city council meeting if you have something that's concerning you. That's just like a stop sign that seems unnecessary, something even minimal. Please do not restrain yourself. Email Mary Gurley or go to a city council meeting, and you get 3 minutes at the beginning of every meeting, and the public comment is always at the beginning. And do not feel embarrassed or self-conscious. The city council people actually listen to all of that. We sit there and we listen to all of it, and it has an impact. And I know because I see the decision making. So make sure you do that. Yes, question?
Are you familiar with RENA?
Yes. So RENA, yeah.
And if you are familiar, you understand the implications for the city.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an affirmative action policy or strategy for fulfilling Sebastopol's RENA requirement?
So RENA is the Regional Housing
Needs allocation.
Yeah, needs allocation. So this is a number set statewide, and it's a specific number reassessed regularly. That is an amount that every 5 years or 10 years, 10 years, that is a target housing number for every community. And so we're now actually, you may know this, but we're now revisiting our housing element. And the housing element is just kind of what is the housing ordinance expectations goals in town, and they're always linked to the RENA numbers. The reason the RENA numbers are important, and by the way, no one ever reaches the RENA numbers, but the reason the RENA numbers are important is they often are a basis for grant for money. So they're linked to, or let's look at Woodmark. So Woodmark, the development on Bodega, big hot issue, really unsettling people, is the apple orchard on Bodega across from Robertson. And one of the reasons that that project has the opportunity to move away from city oversight on discretionary issues is because we haven't met our RENA numbers. So what that has allowed, if we had met our RENA numbers, then all those target numbers, then we could have forced that developer to go through our internal city process and be subjected to all of the discretionary expectations, like we want the structure to comply with existing construction in terms of design and appearance. Very discretionary piece. Because we haven't met our RENA numbers, it allows that developer to take advantage of an SB 35 process, which removes the city from their discretionary oversight and only allows objective height of the building, number of parking lots, very objective standards to be applied. So RENA becomes, it sounds like, oh, well, we never, whatever, these are numbers, no one reaches them, but it does become an opportunity, and you can see why, because there's a link there, whether you approve of it or not. Okay, if the town has reached all of their affordable, low-income RENA numbers, then we don't need to give developers who are coming in to do big projects any particular special attention. But if the city does not, then there's a real legislative motivation to make it easier on the developer. So yes, the answer is that our planning director, Carrie Spanstrom, is really well versed on this topic. What Woodmark has done is created a motivation to get more objective about our standards, so that in the future we have a little more control about these developments. She also tracks those RENA numbers very carefully. And the upside to the Woodmark project is it's going to increase our RENA numbers. We actually, in comparison to other jurisdictions, we look pretty darn good on RENA numbers. And Carrie has been very involved in the process for setting those RENA numbers. And actually, she caught an error that allowed us to reduce them in the negotiations. So yeah, that's super important. Any other questions? I think we're
Where's the project?
Wayne is here.
I'm sorry? So the project is on Bodega. So if you come from the fire station toward the cemetery on Bodega. You come past the fire station, past Parkside School, and you get to Robinson Road. If you look right across, there's a big apple orchard currently.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the property. And I happen to be a big advocate of affordable housing, but that putting apartments in there is going to change the nature of the neighborhood tremendously.
No answer expected, but why not turn Annalee into condos?
I know, how about Elmo? Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Anyone feel free to reach out to me. I do have my business cards up there, but I'm drich@cityofsebastopol.org, and I do have Rotarians reach out to me on many, many issues. I always respond, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Great question.
That was informative, and we did that all with barely referring to the notes. Good job. Now, what Diana didn't share with you that I will is that she does a lot of things and makes a lot of things happen. That coalition is an example. She's facilitated it and put us into good shape. And I believe you subscribe to a proper division of labor. You do all the work, and everybody else gets the credit.
Spoken like a true Rotarian person, right?
So, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of thank you, Diana. Really wonderful to have you here. How about this breakfast? Is this good?
Yeah.
Great.
You happy about this?
Bacon.
Thank you, folks. And let's see, we've got a couple of quick little things. There are flyers back at the table for the Masons if you want to pick one of those up and come to their spaghetti feed. Please do pick up some vegetables and fruit off that table. And do we have a joke of the day?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not good at these making up jokes, but I'm an environmentalist. All my jokes are recycled.
Well done, Brian. Very nice.
I can remember.
And we're ready to hit the trail. Let me bring a mic over to the maestro.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on.
Holding on till then. Happy trails to you.
till we meet again.